Whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, just be inspired. This is the Uninspired Inspiration.
Yeah.
Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Uninspired Inspiration, episode 5. I'm back. Got my guy with me, Ryon. Get used to it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a recurring thing. We trying to figure some stuff out, make some moves. Ryon, what's going on, King? How you doing?
Nothing much. Same old, same old. Pleasure to be here again. As you see, I'm in my car, but the time difference is the reason why you guys are settling down and I'm still on the go.
Yeah.
So
Yo, that 11 o'clock record was crazy. I was like, I watched it back and I was like, I could tell. I didn't feel like it was 11, but looking at it, I was like, oh, I was tired.
yeah, I wonder like how celebrities be doing this stuff because they be communicating from coast to coast, but I guess it's because their job is that's their type of job, 24/7. They just used to it.
Yeah.
But
That's why they be like, oh, I don't sleep. I don't sleep. They be so tired just running around. But I guess when you chasing a goal, you got to make it happen.
yeah, yeah.
That's a nice cut you got too. I can't see the top, but your mustache is lined up crispy. I could see why you was like, yo, let me go get
Bro,
a
you know
cut.
how long it took me? It took me 2 years to find one barber out here in LA. LA don't have barbers, bro.
Bruh. Jersey either. Like, it's ridiculous. It took me I just found a good barber out here. I've been living out here for like 4 or 5 years, I
See?
think. Yeah, it's crazy. And I
Yo, there's
got
nothing like these little
waves.
barbers. Huh?
I got waves, so it's a certain type of way you gotta cut it. You know what I mean? A certain length, everything to keep your joints crispy. And the dude I was going to, yeah, the first time I went to him, he cut me against the grain. So
Oh
for
no.
those who don't know,
Yeah.
with the grain is going with the pattern of your hair going forward. Against the grain is going backwards. So it's almost like smacking somebody hat off their head, off the top of their head, which is a no. So he's out of here. I found a new barber on New Year's Eve. Actually, I got lucky.
Yo, let me tell you what they do out here. So out here, they love this spray can shit. So when it comes time to line up, they lining you up and they take like a little piece of fuck. They take like a little piece of board like this shit,
Yeah,
right? Put it right here, and then just like start spraying.
yeah.
So I'm like, when I first got it done, I got it done twice, but I didn't ask for it. It's like that's how they normally cut hair. So when they first got it done, I'm like thinking, okay, the dude's doing the lineup. Now he's gonna pull out the razor, and I guess the spray thing is just a finishing touch. Whatever, fuck it, bro. The dude did the lineup or whatever lineup he did. Then he did the spray shit. I got up out of the seat. I was like, all right, it's cool. It's cool. It looks good. It looks good. Looks fresh.
Yeah.
My girl's sister was there. It's like, yeah, it looks fresh, right? A few hours later, we back home. I go and take a shower, right? I come out the shower. My whole lineup is like dripping down my forehead. My girlfriend's sister jumped. Like she made this scream. She was like my hairline just, bro, I never again. Because it wasn't really shaped up. It just gave that image like it was like
Yeah,
shaped
yeah,
up underneath. Nah, it's bullshit, man.
yeah.
It's
Nah.
just bullshit.
Yeah, I had two experiences with that stuff, right? The first time the dude did it, he didn't ask me. He just did it. Right? He had like I don't even know what he did it with. It wasn't a spray though. I think it was like on his clippers. He was dipping his clippers or something in it. So he spent me and I looked and it was sharp. You're right. But he
Yeah,
messed up. He gave me sideburns. Yeah, I don't grow besides a mustache and a beard, I don't grow facial hair like that. So I had a sideburn, but I'm like, yeah, this shit looks stupid because you could tell it's no hair there. Like it's just like a eyeshadow mark. But I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm on the phone talking. Yo, and I got off the phone, that side had wiped off. So I just had one side with the line with the joint. But it came off. So I was like, all right, I just let him know don't do it no more. The worst experience though, I went to another dude and he was doing it. and it was called Beijing is the product, and that's like that's it's for celebrities, bro. Like a photo shoot or something, whatever. It makes sense, but he did it and didn't tell me. I didn't find out till like months later because yo, I started my whole forehead was black. It was like it was a dark strip across my whole razor line. I mean, like total discoloration. And I was like, yo, what is this? Why can't I can't get it off? I'm using witch hazel, reading home remedies to use toothpaste and baking soda to scrub it off. My forehead is all raw from trying to scrub that shit off. My wife had told me about some lightening cream to put on it.
Or
And
nail polish remover.
yeah, I was trying everything. It was ridiculous. And then I had ended up going to another barber, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the dude must have used this product on you, and you had a reaction to it." But it took months to go away. I was tight. I went back to him and asked him, and was like, "Yo, you put something in my hair?" And he was like, "Nah, I didn't put nothing in your hair." But I'm like, dog, this ain't normal. This ain't my forehead. Like, why does my forehead look like this? So never again. Like for some people, that stuff is cool, but
New age
I ain't
barbers,
with it.
man.
Yeah, like just give me a regular cut, bro. Like just pull the razor out, and I'm straight.
I don't know, make me feel like they're not talented or as how they used to be. If you got to find all these like easy ways to give somebody a lineup, then you're not as nice as you think you are.
Yeah, I could see it like for a photo shoot. So if it's something that you need like a real super crispy haircut, then I could see it making sense. But if it's just for a everyday cut for you to walk around with, nah, I'm good. I don't need all of that. But oh yeah, yo, my wife, she watched back the other episode and she said she enjoyed it. She was like, "Oh, all right, this is good, babe. Y'all make some good content." So, you know, she with it. She with it. Shout out to your lady. You know what I'm saying? Don't You're welcome to come on the show anytime. Any questions, whatever you want to holler about, I'm here. And we here. It's an open forum, man. You know me. I'm Mr. Peace, Peace, Peace.
I'll show her this. I'll tell her.
Yeah, check it out and subscribe. Join the movement. But yo, today I got a good one for you, man, because I was having a conversation with my sister, and it was a real deep conversation, and I felt like some of the things I was saying might have went over her head a little bit, and it was just making me think just to my childhood and some of the things that I've seen and how I grew up functioning inside of relationships based off of some of those things, but not knowing at the time that I was mimicking some of the stuff that I grew up seeing. So do you think children learn what they live, and it affects us in the relationships that we have growing up?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, I agree with that 100%. Uh, However, I don't agree with like when they say, I was a product of my environment, and they come out to be like something negative. You know what I mean? I don't agree with that. I agree that you could be a product of your environment, but you have choices. If you understand what I mean, or you want me to get deeper?
Yeah, bruh.
So,
You in the hot seat. It's just me and
all
you,
right.
so you
So
let it out.
you grow up, you watch Maury, you watch Jerry Spring, you watch all these things, and all these hood niggas is in there. Yo, I grew up in the hood. This is all I saw. There was niggas out there around me. They was selling drugs. They was either killing. This is what I did. So what do you think I'm gonna become? And I think that's bullshit. I think it's like a cop out. You know what I mean? Because both you and myself, we grew up in the hood. I grew up in Crown Heights, moved Bed-Stuy. I was all over Brooklyn, right? I'm from Jamaica. So I have an uncle that's now deported that ended up in jail because he was trafficking. He wasn't he wasn't doing the selling on the side of the street. He was dropping off the large quantities. And then I have I'm just giving you a range of like different people that I grew up around, right? That I have a family member who I guess you can call uh, a racist or prejudice because he's an Israelite, right? Have you ever see all those Israelites on the side of 34th Street? They don't preach anything good about white folks,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then I also grew up in a place where my mom was, physically abused. Like she was getting beat like every other day, right? So I learned from that environment. But am I a product of it? I learned from it, and I am a product of it. But it's a more positive product, meaning I learned I'm not a prejudice. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not racist. I'm not selling drugs. I never took drugs. Believe it or not, I'm born in Jamaica. Never smoked weed a day in my life. All right, and I don't hit women. Never been to jail. Well, I gotta take that back. I've been to central booking. I never been to jail for
Yeah.
anything about like hitting women or anything like that. So yeah, I was a product of the environment, but you have choices, and I feel like people sometimes give cop out bullshit acts as reasons to why they chose to become that when you didn't have to. You understand what I'm saying? Like I was around niggas on the block every day that sold drugs. I chose not to. I was around Crip dudes. My uncle became Crip. I never once thought about joining the gang. So you have choices. Even though you're in the most vile type of environments, you still have choices as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I look at it. So yeah, I agree with the statement, but I feel like you have choices to not become either the negative product or the positive, or to become the positive.
Well, what swayed your choice then? Like, do you feel like you
What's
could
way?
say you grew up seeing positive and successful relationships between men and women?
Well, I can't say I grew up seeing positive. I think I saw more negative than positive, but I always knew what the positive were, right? I always knew I didn't want to. It didn't look fun for my mom, having her head busted open and blood and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look fun. It wasn't fun for me when I grew up around that shit, trying to like fight off my stepdad and shit like that. Wasn't fun. So I knew I didn't want to impose that on anybody else I was dealing with. And I also grew up with like shows like The Wonder Years. It's back now, and now they have the black version. But I grew up with like coming to of age shows like Wonder Years, Stand By Me, and all those things. Boy Meets World, and you saw these white folks ain't living all these life, or they didn't portray it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you had the Cosby Show in a different world, and they didn't portray all these things. And I don't know. I feel like I was just able to differentiate what's what positive thing you need in your life. Even though all this negative shit is around me,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I didn't need this in my life. And I think, you know, I don't know, you that's what swayed me. Like, yeah, it's around me, but I knew it didn't have to be. I knew I didn't have to grow up and be that just because it's around me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I seen a lot of other positive shit, and that's what I wanted to exude.
Was that like a safe haven for you? You think like some of those shows you was watching, like was that a like an escape to see that?
I would say definitely. It definitely was, because I don't think anybody else in the '90s. Well, I'm talking about the block, the '90s, like East 94th, between Winthrop and Clarkson. I don't think they were watching like Wonder Year. You know what I'm talking about? Nobody calls it
They might have been
Winthrop.
watching. You never know. They.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anybody else on Crown Street that was watching like the Wonder Years, but somehow I got put onto that show. Somehow I got put onto these shows. Somehow I got put on to Stand By Me. And you know what? They all these shows had like these in the head like narrative going on through. Do you remember it?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Yeah, and I always found myself like narrating my every movement. Like before I did some shit, I'm narrating in my head. Like before I even
Mm-hmm.
talk to a girl, damn, I wonder if she gonna like me. And I
Mm-hmm.
have my own little Kevin Arnold in my head type shit.
Yeah.
Damn, I wonder if I smoke this shit, if or if I don't smoke this shit, if I'm gonna look like a punk, a pussy, or whatever. And then you see the outcomes, and I don't know. I just saw the negative outcomes, and I saw like that's not the type of impact I wanted. They always would have, what happened negative. You remember that? You remember that thing with Saved by the Bell with Jesse, and she used to take those pills to like study.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Things like that used to scare me as a kid. I'm like, nah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be looking
Mm-hmm.
like that
Mm-hmm.
after some drugs.
Yeah.
So I didn't need that. Don't take drugs. Actually, those commercials worked on me. Don't take drugs. They drop the egg in the pan, and you see the ketchup is what your shit look like. It worked on me. It scared
Yeah.
me. So I didn't
Yeah.
want that. Some other kids, I guess it didn't work on them, but it worked on me. Those little before and after, or those little coming to of age movies or whatever scenarios worked on me. So when I was dealing with it in real life, I was like, oh, Kevin had a fucking bully. All right, I see. I'm not going to get bullied then. you
Yeah.
know, oh, Kevin saw somebody else get beat, or on Stand By Me, there was somebody else, mom, who's getting abused, and then me physically, I didn't like that shit from my mom, so I knew I wasn't going to give that to any other woman I was dealing with.
Yeah.
So
I think that was like the whole point of those shows, though. So I guess they served their purpose to just kind of take you away and give you a certain perspective on life and what's going on around you.
yeah,
Because I watched a lot of those shows too, and I felt like a lot of that kind of just that imagination, it kept me feeling good, and it blocked out a lot of the stuff that was going on around me and a lot of the just the sadness. It kind of
yeah,
just, it made me laugh, made me feel good. I guess you call them feel good shows for a reason. It
yeah,
really
yeah.
did. You think that's part of like where cause you're into like artsy stuff, graphic design, and all of that. You feel like it started back then, or
It
is that
definitely
something you
started
just
back.
picked up?
It's a bit of both, right? So art kind of runs in my family. Like my uncle is an Israelite, knew how to draw, and I used to watch him draw comics. My grandfather knew how to paint and draw, and I just think it's something that just got passed down. It skipped, a few people, but it just got passed down. But back in the days, we used to do a little bit more wholesome shit. So
Yeah.
it kind of cultivated that. You know what I mean? Like, even though we were in the hood, I know you still remember Disney Afternoon. You know what I mean? We would still be inside for like 3 o'clock cartoons type
Mm-hmm.
things. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we were still watching things like Captain America. You know what I mean? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
certain things were still wholesome, and it didn't seem like they were trying to sell any gimmick. Nothing was talking about crazy sexuality or
Mm-hmm.
anything. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like it was just catered towards kids. So I was still, I don't know. I think nowadays your kids, my kids, they're gonna have a real difficult time growing up because everything now is so brainwashing. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I do feel. To get back to your question, I do feel like those type of things cultivated how I am now, and you know the art stuff, the traveling. But yeah, we had encyclopedias and National Geographics.
Yeah, where I had those. We had the
Exactly.
Encyclopedia Britannicas in the crib to where it was. I mean, it was no Google like that though. Like you want to know
Exactly.
something, you'll find that. And if you had the set, it was like, yo, you gotta
Exactly.
find it in there somewhere. So we did have that. I ain't gonna front.
And you see those pictures, and I was like, yeah, I want to travel to this shit. And then I would look on Discovery Channel and see all these things. Yeah, I want to travel. Now everything is so immersive, right? It's not. It kind of, before you have the imagination, you think you want to travel to these places, and I grew up and then eventually I traveled to these places because this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like, I don't know, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Everything is so immersive to where it gives you a sort of like heightened experience. Like you could go on Google Earth and drop a needle where you want to be, and you could see that
Mm-hmm.
entire destination 3D around, like
Mm-hmm.
three-dimensional around, right? So kids nowadays, I don't know, there's not that. I'm not saying for everybody, but I guess there's not that one of adventure anymore in a sense. But
Yeah. I think it's just different because it's different parenting now
mm,
too. Like the stuff that you're trying to teach your kids now is not really the same as what your parents were trying to teach you back then. You know,
mm-hmm,
if they were even trying to teach you anything. Like it's funny hearing you talk about some of your experiences and your relatives and where you get your artsy imagination from. And thinking back, it's like, yeah, I didn't have connections with my family like that. Like for you to say certain things you saw made you not want to do those things or understand that that wasn't the direction you wanted to go in. I kind of feel like for me, even though I knew I didn't like those things and I didn't enjoy seeing certain things and it made me feel a certain way, those things kind of still found a way to sneak into my personality and
mm-hmm.
found a way to sneak into my relationships growing up. So I feel like it's just really important what you show your kids, because like kids are nosy. You think they not listening to you having an argument, or you think they not picking up on the vibe, but they are. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like at some point, do they grow up and start mimicking that behavior that you think they wasn't even paying attention to? Because I know it was something that I did. So when I say, do children learn what they live, it's not necessarily just from a educational standpoint. It's just from seeing the connection between their parents or
So,
whoever they're influenced by.
so let me ask you a question. You don't. So I got two questions to ask you first. So clarify to me. You said you started mimicking what they did in a negative or like
Yeah, yeah, and
so
and a
second
negative.
second question, why don't you think that was a choice? Why don't you think that was a choice, and then why didn't you, like, what were the factors that made you lean more towards the negative of your development?
I don't think it wasn't really leaning towards it because it was kind of like you're not even aware that you're doing it. Like, so I grew up with my sister raising me from maybe 7 years old or whatever. So my mom's passed and I ended up living with my sister. My dad let me go stay with her. And
Hmm.
she was in a relationship, like a serious relationship. So this dude pretty much became my father because I didn't see my father, and she was my mother because my mother was no longer around. So being raised by this couple, and yeah, he was a terror, man. Like this dude, he was the type to try and just mess up anything good that you had. He
Hmm.
was narcissistic, he was manipulative, he was controlling. So not necessarily saying like I saw these things and got older and decided I want to do these things. I think it just became a situation where that was kind of how I interacted with women at some point altogether without even realizing I was doing it, until I got to a point of noticing it and being like I'm not feeling this. After a while, when you start to see yourself differently and you're really looking at yourself for who you are and you're not blinded no more, you start to just unpack some stuff. And once I started doing that, it was like, it had to come from somewhere. I didn't just pick it up and decide, oh, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to talk. This is how I want to act. It was just learned behavior.
Hmm. So one more question, because I'm a remember what I said earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said to me it's a cop out. I
Mm-hmm.
hated hearing people say what they were saying. So
Mm-hmm.
now I got somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I'm gonna put you in the hot. So I get it. It was learned behavior. So I'm inquiring as well. So you didn't have like a escape that you did, like, because you still knew it was did you not realize that it was negative at the point at the time when you were younger? Did you not realize that what he was
I don't I didn't I guess if you say I didn't like it and I knew it didn't feel right. I can't really say that I looked at it like it was negative. It was what it was. When you're a kid, it's kind of like just life. It's like if you're a kid growing up and you don't have certain things, you
Mhm,
don't always look at it like, oh, I'm poor, or
mhm.
this is a rough situation. You're just looking at it like you don't have these things. And I think that's what it was for me. I was unhappy. I was a really unhappy little
Mhm.
kid. So
But
I
that's the
understood
thing.
that.
So that's the thing. So I'm questioning because I'm still having a difficulty understanding it, right? Meaning you knew you didn't like it. You knew you didn't like those results. You knew you didn't like that feeling. So why? And I'm comparing and contrasting because I was a kid and I knew 8 years old. I knew I didn't like the results. I knew I didn't like my mom getting their ass beat. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I knew I didn't like the relationship between this dude that I didn't even know that wasn't my father at the time. Remember I told you I don't know my father,
Mm-hmm.
but when I was that young, I didn't even know that he wasn't my father. I just knew that there wasn't no connection. Like there's energy connection that wasn't there, right? But I knew I didn't like it. But there's a difference. There's something that happened. Let's say we're two people experiencing the same thing, not liking something, right? But and you understand what an escape is because you mentioned that earlier. So I used all these different Wonder Years, all these different shows, all these different things, and I was escaping, and I knew I didn't like it, so I knew I wasn't going to repeat it. You knew you didn't like it. Did you not have like that escape, like to like hold on to the fact that you didn't like it and rebuild your personality to not represent what you were seeing? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like meaning we both had a choice at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what age. I'm just putting us at the same age, 8 years old, going through all
Mm-hmm.
these things, right? But we both had a choice, and you both knew that you didn't like it.
Yeah, I get
Only
it.
difference between I had was an outlet, like I had the Wonder Years and these different shows. Did you not have that, or are you saying that because you didn't have that, you chose to absorb?
Well, I watched those shows, and I think the biggest difference, well, one of the differences in the outlets, for example, is even though you didn't like seeing what you saw, you still
Mhm.
had your mom's love. So
Okay,
the outlet of that alone is the biggest gap between our
I
situations.
get it. I get it. I get it.
Because
That is back
yeah,
to that,
you
right?
you don't you don't like this, this is wrong, and when you're not watching those shows or when she's not going through what she's going through, she's still
Mhm.
able to nurture you. She's still able to be your mom and be strong and love you. But for me, the outlet is just the TV and my imagination and myself. There's nobody to come to me and protect me or keep me safe or to explain to me that this is just the way it is. So, I'm a child growing up not understanding why my pops doesn't want me
Mhm.
and why my mother isn't here to take care of me. Like why am I in this position? Like where are my brothers? Why are my brothers not here? So there's a different dynamic, and it wasn't a physical abuse that I picked up from him.
Mhm.
It was more of a, just like I said, the controlling and the manipulating that I
Okay.
picked up.
I think you hit it. I think you hit it because I thought we were of equal factors, and then you were just like, "Nah, you had your mom," and I can't imagine going through any of that stuff that I was going through, and say if I didn't have at least one
Mm-hmm.
positive parent influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did have that. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. My sister, she tried, and I know she
Hmm.
loved me, and I know she loves me, and we're really close now. But at the time, she was so young. It was almost like it was a war between me and him of who she was actually going to be able to love. We weren't a
Hmm.
family. It wasn't like they were my parents and I was their child. It was like, oh, I'm her little brother, and now she took on the responsibility of raising me. But this dude wants to be her man, and he don't
Hmm.
want this child in the house. So I'm a burden,
Hmm.
and I felt that. I didn't feel like I was a part of something. I didn't feel like I was, I was loved, and
Hmm.
and and, and I think that was the biggest difference because your moms, they they provide a certain thing for you that nobody else could provide. That's kind of like your first experience with real love and understanding how to care and having somebody that's always there for you.
Hmm.
So to have that taken from you before you can even experience it, it was almost like I started in the negative. Eh,
Okay, I get it. So I have another question then. So with that being said, right? And this is before you were married, before I didn't meet you like that. Meaning I didn't meet you. What changed within your life? Because I can't say it was you can't say it was your wedding or your wife this time because you always be saying that, right? Because I didn't meet you when you were married, right? I met you when you were going through a lot of stuff with your kid and custody and all these other things, right? But you you didn't exude or exhibit like any of these type of like negative uh emotions, meaning like you were still angry, right? But you still cared, you were still loving, you still wanted to be there for your kid, and you still wanted a family, which is something that you weren't shown when you were younger. So something had to change in order to get you on that realm. So what changed?
I think it was just getting older and understanding what was important to me and starting to really start checking myself and not feeling like I had all the answers and just understanding that I was dealing with a lot and I didn't want to be the same type of person. Like I joke about it on my other show and on an episode on this show about me having these experiences with these people and having relationships, but it's not cool to be hurting people. I think my conscience really kicked in to a point to where it was like, yo, look, you just want somebody to love you.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm a bad person. I don't feel like I was a bad guy, but I feel like, going through so much time, always feeling like you gotta have a defense and you can't really be the real you with somebody because people leave you all the time. So it's
Mhm.
easier for me to be protected if I never even let you know who I really am. And I
Mhm.
kind of just started breaking all of that down and understanding that at some point I got to be different.
Mhm.
I got to start really reevaluating myself and what I'm doing and make some changes.
So
And
there
that,
wasn't any outside source that made you come to that conclusion, or because usually people, how can I say it? Usually you were grown by that time. You know that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like usually people are into their personalities by that age, the time that we met, and you weren't this. You weren't that individual that you're stating now. I didn't meet you, hostile or negative or whatnot. You were angry, but because of the stuff that was going on. But yeah, so there wasn't any like,
I was
I don't
I
know,
was
what was the outside influence? What triggered the change?
I was always kind of like trying to do the work off and on, and I hid a lot of how I really felt. You know, I got good at kind of just putting on the disguise and seeming like, oh, this dude is really cool, or you know, this dude is this dude is that. But on the inside, I was feeling a different way. So that was a big part of it. But I think like my karma kind of caught up to me in the form of what I was going through with my face. You know, when I got that tumor and I had to have that surgery, and the surgery it altered my appearance. That put me in a really dark place at first. You know, it was like, damn, like yo, why is this happening? Why am I stuck with a plate in my face for life now, and I feel like I don't look the same, and you know, I don't I didn't think I was like a male model, but you know, I always felt like I was okay and
Mm-hmm.
women liked me. And at the time, if you're somebody that's struggling to just want to be loved, that was the only type of attention I would really seek. Was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if my mom's is not gonna be here, then I'm gonna get that love and attention and caring from these women.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was like, okay, it's surgery time, you don't look the same, my I guess my confidence and my self esteem was shot for a long time, and it forced me to really start looking at myself and to realize that the exterior it didn't really matter as much as I thought it did. I had to be better on the inside.
Okay. All right, I get it. I still got beef with these people that I just got to find somebody on my same on my same thing. So you threw me for a loop with the whole not having a mom thing, right?
Drop
But
the
there's people
bomb
on
on your
Maury,
ass,
yeah, there's people
right?
on Maury with moms and don't have a father. And I'm like, yo, I'm in that same position. I don't know my father, got a mom, and you out here killing and doing drugs and all this shit. So yeah, you kind of escaped with that not having a mom thing because I'm like, yo, we right here, man. We, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't got nothing.
Yeah, but I think like that's why the story for everybody it just gets so much deeper. You know, like even though we got similar situations, it's like you were exposed to other things. You know, you were able to go to school in Florida, I believe. You know,
Hmm.
like you had other opportunities that you didn't need to go a certain route. You know, so I think when people say they were forced into a certain lifestyle or whatever, it's not just to say that they chose it because they thought it was cool. It was like it really was no other option. It really was no other type of guidance. You know, like you can't. I just think everybody's situation is different. I do think it's an excuse sometimes, but I think
Hmm.
some people have valid reason to feel the way they do because you know people be dealing with abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. It be so much going on that we have no idea what pushes a person in the direction that they're in, and
Hmm.
it just means that you know the people that experience those things and they come up out of it, they're really fortunate.
I agree. I agree.
I do want to know though because you was talking all that soulmate talk on the last one we did, and you can have more than one and love more than one person or whatever.
Hmm.
Is there a difference between love and lust?
Oh yeah, there definitely is. I think so. Lust is what you realize after you have sex with somebody and you realize, I don't really need this person around no more.
Yeah, that's good. So that's a
That's
real
just
feeling.
layman
Like, where
terms.
you think that feeling comes from? Is that like a chemical thing in your brain or what?
It is. It is because your body starts whenever you look at somebody and be like, "Yo, this person is bad." You're lusting after a body, this and this. I That's why, yo, you know what? This gets into a conversation me and my girlfriend had, right? And I'm like, yo, women put too much emphasis on sex, and don't really pay attention to you know what men or pay attention to what you really need to pay attention to, right? Because sex to me is like a mental block. It's a blocker because your first, your third, your second, whatever date you go on, if you haven't if you hadn't had sex, that's all you're thinking about to an extent. For most men, you're thinking about, damn, when are we gonna pass this first base or this second base or whatnot, right? And then women, for most men, once they pass that thing is when you really realize, I actually want to chill with this chick. I actually like her personality. I actually want to be with her. Me and my girlfriend, we started out as friends with benefits. I'm not afraid to tell anybody because we've been together for 12 years now,
All right.
right? We started out friends with benefits, and I think that's one of the best things I could have done, or I think that's how people really should. You should do the whole friendship thing, but you shouldn't hold back sex. There's a difference. Let me put it out there. There's a difference between love making, and fucking. Fucking is sex, right? It is what it is. People are gonna agree to disagree, whatever it is. But there's love making and sex is two different things. I could have sex with a bunch of different girls. Jay-Z line, you know, just fucking them hoes. I was gonna be right back.
Yo, bro. I
What?
better
Let me
not
get
get
back.
like censored or nothing for all this vulgar
Nah.
language you using on here. I haven't done a disclaimer in a long time. The views on sex and women and sexuality and all
I
of
didn't even
that
say anything
are
about women.
Rion's alone. I do not share,
Oh,
condone,
good.
or agree with those views or opinions. All right.
All right, let me get back to what I was explaining. All right, so I feel like women put sex too high of a pedestal. It's the reason why we end up in so much relationship problems, or end up in so much relationship problems. It's because they hold out on sex and they don't find the reality of what this person is until after they give it up, and they were like, "Yeah, I was just holding out till we had sex, and the dude's not interested in you anymore." Right? It may not be like that for everybody, but for a lot of dudes, it's like that. Right? We could put on, and I've done it. You could put on the persona for as long as you want. You dating for 3 months, ain't hit. I have on this persona, right? When I get it, and sometimes it's also it's like one of these things where you don't even know that you're putting on this persona, and you honestly think that you like this girl, right? So it's not even something that you do on purpose sometimes, right? You honestly think that you like this girl, and the minute that you guys have sex, it's like you get your fucking personality back. Your brain starts to come back. Your actual brain comes back, and you're like, bro, we was arguing over this shit at dinner. I don't like how her mascara looks. I don't like the fact that she was talking to the waitress like this. You start to have reality. Your reality
Yeah.
starts to come back, and you could, gauge whether you want to be with this person or not. So, I guess the original question is, do I feel there's a difference between love and sex? Right? Was that the original
Love
question?
and lust. Lust and
Love
love.
and lust. Yeah, and definitely there is. Love is what I do with my girlfriend. Lust is what I was doing with these random chicks when I was growing up.
How did
You
you
know,
know? Like when did the light bulb go off that, oh, this is actually love. This is not lust.
like I said, after you know how I knew it's after we had sex, and I was still inviting her over to like come chill,
Yeah.
and we didn't have to have sex.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just
Yeah.
liked her company.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to the movie theater and I couldn't think about, even if I was messing with someone else, because there was times where I was messing with someone else and messing with her. But at the end of the day, the only person I would want in my space is her. The only
Yeah.
person I want to go sit in a movie theater with and actually be myself is her. The only person I could play video games around and be a nerd with is her. And the only person I would choose to release my actual self is with her. And I knew, okay, there's something different here. I like sexual intercourse with this person, and I like her personality and like being around her, you know. And people be thinking saying that I'm cold or whatnot, and I can't express certain things. But yeah, I knew it had to be love,
Yeah,
because
you
it was
are. You are cold, but we gonna melt them walls down. We it's different now. We working on it, and I'm so glad you kept using the word only, because only implies one. So you can only have one soulmate. She was the only
oh, but
one.
no, 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 no,
Nah,
no.
nah, nah. You
So
just said
no,
it.
I can't say that.
You
Meaning,
just
out of
said it.
everyone, she was the only one at that time, right? But at
Yeah.
the same time, we grew up in a culture. We grew up in a culture where we are told to put on, the horse blinders that they wear, the horses where they can't, they don't get interrupted. We are told to put on horse blinders, meaning if I'm dealing with this one person, then that's who we're supposed to deal with. We grew up in it's like American culture, whatnot. Anywhere else, you go to France or some place where polygamy is, or multiple relationships or multiple partners or something. It's not the culture. I mean, I think there's other soulmates out there. Do I want to find them? No, I'm happy with who I'm with. I'm happy with the person I'm with. I'm in love with the person I'm with. But I do feel that your energy could connect to multiple other people's energy. You know what's funny too? I told, after we did the show, I told my girlfriend what we were talking about, and she agrees with me. And I told her the story when I told you she called me an idiot, or I forgot what she called me. Yeah, but she agrees with me. But our job is to make sure we don't, go floating our energies all over the place. But bro, you really think there's only that one person
Yeah.
out of billions of people?
Yeah. It's only
Man,
that
you really,
one. She warms my heart.
and I get it, and I get it, and I get it. I completely get it. I'm not trying to sway you from your wife. Listen, when you watch this show, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to like convince them anything other. I'm just trying to say there's way too many people to feel like your energy would never connect with someone else's energy on the level that you and your wife's energy connect.
Yeah. Nah, I can dig it. That's funny. I don't know if you heard that. You just heard the knocking. She must have heard you talking about. She knocking on the studio. Yeah. If you watching this, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Can you have more than one soulmate? You Team G, Team Ryon. You already know what it is, man. This was the Uninspired Inspiration. Ryon, you already know what's up, man. It was a pleasure. Until the next time, King. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
Yo, 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 choose to inspire, not destroy.